Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our second show of BW Unfiltered, or Black Woman Unfiltered. Since our show from last week, we've heard from many. My intent for the show today was to have some people who had previously worked with me where I was their leader, but um, we need more time. People have to get approvals and things of that nature, the ones that still work somewhere. And then there's others who may not feel so that comfortable with this process. I can guarantee anyone who comes on this show that this show is not about minimizing anyone or subjecting anyone to harm. It's all about finding ways so we can have great dialogue with one another to talk about the challenges that some of us have overcome. And I wanted you to witness what I've overcome as a leader so that you have some context as to where I am coming from and how I got to this point. But today's show, as I was talking to friends and others who called me up and said, I support what you're doing. But let me know when it's my time and I'll get on the show with you, and just various conversations. No, I want to stop for a moment and say, no, this show is not about being a victim. It is about being survivors. It's about being warriors in a war that women, not only Black women, but women, period, have fought and had challenges with. But that very war that we're fighting, the battlefield, we can create one that is better for us and our opportunities rather than fighting on the same battlefields that's been established by someone else. We can create the paradigm shift. Lately, I've been looking at a lot of war stories, so that's what this war stuff and all that is coming from. So as we get started today, what I wanted to pinpoint was some things on today's show, because I've looked at this before and I've said this and I've spoken to at of some of the meetings before, specifically Delta meetings. I've spoken at some of those meetings from a leadership perspective, from a change perspective, from a job opportunity perspective. So I've spoken at those events before, and so I have some context, and most of my friends are part of a sorority, or their kids are part of sorority, and I see the richness that comes from there. I see the opportunities that are there. I see them helping in community events as well as and helping people land careers. What I want to see more, and I think there's a bigger opportunity for, is this area around leadership, Black women in leadership. So I wanted to begin with my personal reflection, because as I stated, I've spoken at leadership events and I consider joining one or two of these sororities, and I know you can only do one at the grad chapter level. But as I observe the dynamics of the sororities, I recognize the immense potential, not only in job placement, which they're doing, helping with in a lot of cases, but also from a leadership perspective. I do think there's untapped potential for our sororities that are within the Black community, African American community, to really help. When I look at the membership numbers of the top 4 sororities, they're about over 900,000, close to 1 million members. That's powerful, guys. That's really powerful. And I look at many of the roles and jobs that they have to play and the type of economic impact they can have and bring various things to their organizations, chapters, to really help with leadership and placing more women in those leadership roles through sponsorships, through networking, through a lot of different mechanisms that I think these sororities have at their fingertips. Maybe they don't realize it, but they do. So I think they have incredible influence, and really they could be pivotal in elevating the Black women to executive levels in their professional arenas. Now, this influence, however well recognized, needs to be harnessed. These organizations can organize sources effectively, I think, to ensure more Black women not only aim for, but reach the C-suite positions they so desire. Black sororities have the potential to be powerful catalysts for change in the corporate landscape. And you may be saying, well, Dr. Carroll, where are you coming from with this? Well, from a strategy perspective, if I look at, for example, the Harvard Alumni Association and that fund, and the magnitude of vastness they've done with that. Not to say that we are the sororities separately are Harvard or anything like that, but we can build like that. We have the potential as that community to build with the economic power that we have at our fingertips, with the knowledge, the skill sets that we have. We could do this. We have so many powerful Black women that are spread across. We have a lot of Black women who have gone on to pursue higher education. I think more than we have a higher level of Black women who have gone on for master's and graduate level, PhD level positions or careers, education than most races. And we're only a small portion of the women that's in America or across the globe. We're only a small portion of that. So this approach that I'm talking about advocates for empowering the Black women through structured and supportive means, and calls for a significant shift in how sororities mobilize their resources to foster genuine change in the corporate world. So we can start with, let's see, if I would say in order to actualize this potential, I kind of have put together a structured report in my newsletter this week. I said, you can start with identifying the aspiring leaders. First, it's essential to identify the women within a sorority who are aspiring to be executive roles in their chosen fields, especially at the grad alumni level. Understanding their ambitions can help tailor resources and support to guide them. They can create some robust executive coaching process. So we have a lot of executive coaches out there, both women of color and non-women of color and men who can help with this by implementing executive coaching sessions, focusing on leadership skills, navigating corporate politics, and building on personal brand would equip Black women with the tools needed for success, I believe. And then mentorship and sponsorship, which we know are extremely crucial in this landscape. By many of the Black women have vast networks. We all do. We have more than just Black women in our network. We have women of different races, men of different races in our network. It is incumbent upon us as we advance to identify and cultivate those relationships, because those are the relationships we're going to need to maybe piggyback on, or they may need to piggyback on us to ask us for resources or reference or individual we think might be of quality for the particular position based on conversations we've had. Not just one conversation, but various conversations we've had over the gamut. We're at various times we're in sitting around the dinner table or sitting around at the local pub having drinks. And a lot of these people are executives. When I am out and about, I meet a lot of C-suite executives. And when I'm listening and talking to them, they tell me a lot of things, which I will be sharing with you over this podcast over the next few months. And they're real. I don't think that they're in a relaxed environment when they're talking to me. And in that relaxed environment, they're saying things that make sense. And I have some that will say, Marilyn, come, why don't you meet me when I'm next in town again? I met this one guy in the financial services industry from Australia, and we communicated back and forth. He became a mentor to me at one point in time. I've met people in Chicago, New York, various places where I am talking to them, just being out and about, and finding myself in the right settings where I can meet people that don't necessarily look like me or act like me, and I can really get a grip around what people are looking for and why they are looking for people in that way, and what makes sense and from a cultural dynamics to blend in with those organizations. I also feel as though, and I've said this before, yes, I did start this company, but I'm going to say it again. Having people, not only having this from a sorority perspective, but as we take stock and responsibility for our own careers, it is extremely important that we get ourselves enrolled in some kind of career doctor program. Just as you get checkups for your physical health and well-being, you need a checkup for your career well-being. That is very important, whether it's my organization, getcareerdoctor.com, or some other organization. You need, or coaches, you need something like that. We all do. It's hard to work your career these days alone, especially if you have goals beyond stepping in, working for a minute, and then stepping out of that role into something else. If you have a goal that you want to continue working over the next, if you're a young person, 10, 20, 30 years, you need someone. If you're an older person and you're thinking, what am I going to do next? How do I keep progressing through this until I'm ready to leave out of this? You need something like a career doctor to help you with that. So, identifying your aspiring leaders, some executive coaching and mentorship and sponsorship programs. Those were the first three I thought about. And then creating some type of supportive ecosystem. We can do networking platforms. And what I mean by that is sororities should leverage their extensive networks to create platforms where aspiring leaders can connect with industry leaders, which is crucial for professional growth and opportunity identification. Advocacy and awareness. There must be a concerted effort to advocate for diversity in leadership roles. Sororities can play a significant role in this by highlighting the achievements and the potential of their members through conferences, networking events, and public forums. And then there's the investment and development opportunities. Investing in the professional development of Black women through scholarships, grants, and sponsorships for advanced education and training can remove financial barriers that often impede their progress. And so these are things, even though we give scholarships to college, we may have to give scholarships for executive coach opportunities for individuals so that they're not tied necessarily to the organizations where they work, or they're more on their own and they can have these open, comfortable dialogues with their coaches to discuss what's happening, and the coach can give them feedback as to things that they may want to try and do. When I looked at the world of sorority organizations, I wanted to do some financials, but I decided not to go the financial route, just look at the numbers in the organizations. So AKA, for example, better known as Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, they have about over 300,000 initiated members. And then we have Delta Sigma Theta sorority, which DST, Delta Sigma Theta has more than 350,000 members worldwide, which suggests a vast network and significant organizational influence there. And then we have Zeta Phi Beta sorority, ZPB. Their membership they have a membership of over 100,000 women. And then Sigma Gamma Rho sorority, SGR, they have over 100,000 members as well. So if you can combine that, we're talking about 650, 750, 850, close to 1 million, possibly. And this, the numbers I have was as of 2020, based on my research, 2021. So there are many more members more than likely now. I know they had a big uptick in memberships, especially after the presidential election. So the financial operations of many of these sororities, they already collect dues from members, which contribute to their potential operational budgets and support their foundations or charitable arms of those organizations. The foundations typically manage fundraising, scholarship distributions, and other philanthropic activities, which are critical to supporting the Black community and promoting educational initiatives. So if we utilize these resources, and how did you get Maryland Harvard Alumni Association? I love what the association does. I love the money they have. I like the strategy they had around it. And I love seeing it, how it has developed and flourished. These people don't have to worry about if people coming to their school and not even know they keep getting more and more. They get to spend their money on having and promoting what they have as their agenda. And when alumni go there, they want to, I think I was reading some article and reading some stories. Most of the members that go there to own their own. They don't want to work for nobody. They want to own their own business. For the most part, a significant number of the Harvard grads go for that, to work for themselves, not to work for other people necessarily. So that's one thing. But when you get a situation like that with people working for themselves, and now we have a lot of African Americans working for themselves, women starting organizations because they can't get what they were looking for. This is all great. But what's not so great is a lot of these organizations, minority organizations, women-owned organizations, do not have the capital or wherewithal to get capital to operate these organizations to take them to the next level. In addition to that, they not just capital, you need more than money to move your organization. You need the right talent in your organization to move it. And that talent needs to be a diverse talent, not just Black people. It needs to be an array of races, sexes, and people in your organization in order to help you move the needle, the trajectory. So we have to stop thinking about just one race. We have to think about how we, even when we're building businesses, can diversify our organization and see things from a different view. I learned this firsthand operating my business. One of my businesses, I decided I needed, even though I'm working for organizations with most of the people that's running them, and I'm sitting around a table and they don't look like me, they are another race. Even though I brought my daughter in at one point to help me with running the security business, when we were doing that, my daughter was one of the managers, but we looked through talent and we said, we need to diversify. We need a different thought process. And so we brought in a young guy who was around the age of my daughter as well. And he happened to be a white guy that we brought in. And I cannot tell you the difference that made. Then we started bringing in Hispanics and Asian people and all that throughout our organization. And we saw a huge difference in talent, ability, and thought process, in coming up with strategies and technology initiatives and things of that nature. So it pays, I don't know, whoever you are, to have a diversity of people at your company, and not forced, but people who actually bring things different to help your organization, and not seeing race, color, or sex just because you want to pull that in, but for seeing talent that's coming to your table and how you can incorporate that talent into your organization. So if we look at Harvard, we see that Harvard has 371,000 alum at its company, including 279,000 of those 371,000 in the US. And these were numbers as of 2020 as well, with 59,000 across approximately 202 countries. Can you imagine how powerful that is, especially in those other countries, if they operate in their own businesses as well? So this organization supports its alumni and it's new students that's coming on board significantly. So if we did a Harvard approach with this, they'd adapt, the adaptation for sorority would be Pacific funds. Sororities can establish funds for goals such as scholarships, business startups, leadership training, and more. Transparency reporting would need to be done for this to work properly. If we engage in alumni through networking opportunities, if we look at Harvard's approach, we see that Harvard excel as creating networking opportunities for its alumni, which helps them to advance their careers. It keeps them connected to the university and encourages them to give back. If we did this with the sororities, we would see regular networking events, hosting regular events that bring together alums and can strengthen the ties to remind them of sororities' ongoing initiatives and needs. Professional development workshops. These events can offer valuable career development sessions, which benefit attendees immediately and really increase their ability, their affinity for the sorority to me. And even though they may do some of this, I'm talking more about more in depth, more focus toward these goals and more measurement of them. Utilizing technology and engagement fundraising. Harvard uses advanced technology solutions to manage its fundraising campaigns and engage with alumni based on webinars, online courses, and more. Well, the sororities can do the same thing. They can have a robust online platform implementing user-friendly platforms for donations, event registration, community discussions can significantly boost engagement. That's a given, no matter what organization you are. Social media utilization. Social media can be used to share success stories, upcoming events, and key achievements from the funds, keeping the community engaged and encouraging donations. So also by building a culture of giving, we got to start giving back. And we give to our churches, we're good about that, but we also have to give to other things as well. I think our parents back in the day when the 60s and earlier were going on, they had this thing down pat, and we some type of way have to get back to this. With more mentoring programs and recognition programs like Harvard's naming opportunities and donor recognition events. Implementing recognition programs for donors can also incentivize donations. The big thing is endowment management. Harvard's endowment is professionally managed with a focus on long-term growth. The university uses a mix of internal and external fund managers and diversifies its investments to optimize its returns. And we think that the sororities can do the same thing. A professional fund manager, sororities could consider hiring professional fund managers to handle their endowments, focusing on growth and risk management. Investment strategy, developing a clear investment strategy that reflects the sorority's risk tolerance and time horizon can help to maintain a healthy fund that support long-term goals. Again, these organizations have some of the most intelligent women who do extremely well in the corporate environment that can do extremely well helping the alumni sorority and alumni association they're attached to. So building capital fund insights from the alumni association structure would have fund structure management. We could have a Harvard model, and then that model will give us some ideas of what we need to do for our sororities. And in talking to one of my friends, she talked and sent me some videos on Jordan Peterson's and Peterson perspective, because we were talking a lot about, I really want this to be about we're not victims, we are warriors. And as warriors, we are going to be trailblazers in changing and creating a paradigm shift from that victim mentality to that warrior mentality, where we're winning, we're achieving, we're the Super Bowl of the events for women, so to speak. We're winning the Super Bowl every time. So we got to start somewhere. So we start our training and development now. And so Peterson's perspective, his advocacy for hierarchical and competence-based structures can be integrated into the fund operational philosophy. This involves funding initiatives that promise high returns in terms of community development and empower individuals to raise through personal merit and contributions. That strategic implementation of the funding criteria will involve rigorous assessments processes, regular review of the program impacts, and adjustments based on evolving community needs and the global economic landscape for the fund. Fostering economic independence and sustainability, self-reliance, guys, self-reliance. And I think Peterson emphasizes economic independence, which the fund can achieve by supporting Black women in entrepreneurship. Investments could be directed towards startups led by sorority members, providing capital and strategic advice through mentorship programs. And then to aligning that with sustainability practices like Harvard's fund, which ensures the perpetuity through careful capital investment and fundraising efforts. Black sororities must be able to adopt financial practices emphasizing sustainability in that practice of the fund. This includes setting aside a portion of the investment returns and to the principal amount, thus ensuring the fund's growth to longevity. And enhancing the network utilization of social capital. Social capital is huge. It's just as it's valuable as all the other capital that one would put into an organization. Economic capital, funding, social capital, psychological capital, mentorship capital, coaching capital. All these capitals are needed for the women in these organizations. So by building robust networks, drawing on the Harvard Alumni Association, access to creating the influential global networks, Black sororities could strengthen alum interactions to harness wide-ranging benefits from job placements to collaborative entrepreneurial ventures. And utilizing that social capital, as Peterson may suggest, special or social capital is invaluable, and I totally agree with that. The sororities can significantly enhance their members' professional and personal development by organizing regular networking events, mentorship programs, and workshops with successful external leaders. So in my closing of our show today, the path of empowering Black women in leadership roles through Black sororities can significantly benefit the robust examples set by institutions like the Harvard Alumni Association. Incorporating Jordan Peterson's principles on individual responsibility and strategic economic practices of Harvard's capital fund management, I think that Black sororities can transform their community support structures into formidable engines of empowerment and transform the community support structures so that they approach personal and economic growth among members and build resilience, interconnected communities that thrive on mutual success and broad-based support. So I asked you to commit to these initiatives and ensure that the path to executive roles is accessible for more Black women. Enriching the business world and diverse perspectives and leadership styles is really time for us to move beyond mere job placements to strategic career advancement. So join me in this crucial effort to empower, elevate, and amplify true potential of Black sorority members in leadership. I think this approach advocates for empowering Black women through structured and a supportive means and calls for a significant shift in how sororities mobilize their resources to foster genuine change in the corporate world. I encourage sororities to embrace these strategies, refine their goals concerning community empowerment, and rigorously pursue establishing and growing a capital fund that fosters Black female leaders equipped to navigate and excel in diverse fields. So I hope this article sparks a conversation and inspires actionable change, promoting the future where Black women are not merely participants, but leaders in crafting their destinies through education, leadership, and strategic community support. That's our show for today. Thank you for joining me, those that are joining me. I know we're still in our infant stages. We're probably going to be here for another month going through this as we build and get the websites and the connect groups out there available to you. This is not just my only job. I am looking for resources to help. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about people who have skill sets. When you want to change something, you have to get a community of individuals. We have set up our Facebook page, BW Unfiltered, as well as we're setting up a Facebook group on BW Unfiltered. And I hope to see many of you join us in that group, join us in the conversations. I hope that many of the sorority members will join in with us. Reach out to me if I can be of help. And if you're agreeable and open to some of the things I've suggested here, reach out to me and I will definitely put together some resources as well as leadership development and expand my network of individuals to help you as well. So that's it for today. Take care and thank you for joining the show.